Hi everyone and welcome to day 23. I am excited. We've got some lovely stretches today. Sunday, beautiful, sumptuous stretching. Really breathe into the stretches. Really no judgment or only kindness. A little bit on that in a video I posted yesterday. You may find that some of the stretches are a little bit tough, so you either need to make adaptations or alternatively having a yoga block or a book or a big cushion, something like this, a rolled up towel or a yoga mat. Any of those things you may find useful today. You may also need a tea towel or a belt or a yoga strap for one of the stretches as well. So the order is going to be a little bit different because we're going to work through neck and wrists first. So we've got three-way trap set. The order is a little bit different from the crib sheet is what I mean. So we're going to do three-way trap stretch first. So the trapezius muscle we've spoken about before, it's the muscle that goes from the base of the skull to the tip of the shoulders and then down to the point in your back here. So it makes a diamond shape from here to here out to the tips of your shoulders. And what we're going to do today is stretch these fibers at the top, so we're going to be stretching the upper trapezius muscles. Now the way we're going to do that is do it three ways on either side, and the way that we're twisting is dictated by whether you turn the nose to the right, to the middle or to the left. So to start with, the basic position is the right arm extending out, the wrist is flexed like that. You're going to tuck the chin down to the chest, tip over to the side. Now you're going to turn your nose up to the ceiling, and with that you'll feel the stretch more through the front of the neck. Pushing this arm actively down to the floor, you'll feel a really nice stretch through the neck. You can use the weight of the arm, just rest it gently on the head to add a little bit more tension, but you're not pulling. There is no pull with this arm. The active arm is on this right side. This is just a little bit of extra weight. And you're going to hold that there for 10 breaths or 10 seconds, depending on how much you want to dedicate time you want to dedicate to your stretches today. But if you do the 10 seconds, please make sure you take nice deep breaths during them. From this position where your nose is pointing up, I want you to bring the nose down to pointing straight ahead. Hold that for 10 breaths. And then I want you to tip the nose down towards the floor and hold that for 10 breaths. When the nose goes down to the floor, to feel a stretch, you actually may need to tuck the chin towards the chest. So holding that for 10 breaths too. And you will feel that one more down the back and into the mid-back rather than at the front of the neck. So then again, over to the right side, hand extends out to the side, wrist is flexed, this arm's active, head goes to the side. Wait, first of all you tuck your chin, then you roll to the side. And then you turn the nose up to feel it through the front. Hold that there, with or without the hand, for 10 seconds. Turn the nose to neutral for 10 seconds. Turn the nose down to the floor and re-tuck the chin and hold that for 10 seconds. If you find that too complicated, I just simply want you to do it a different way. So you're just then going to do 10 to the side, 10 to the side, and 10 with that forward chin tuck. Those of you who do the nose rotations, you may also want to do an extra 10 sessions with the chin coming down to the chest. Just please make sure that when you're in this position, you're not arching. Gone back up north. You're not arching through your low back. So you're keeping your body upright. You're just tucking the chin, and then you're using the weight of both hands to just pull the chin almost more to the chest. It's about pulling the chin to the chest rather than pulling the shoulders round. So that's your three-way traps. Then we're going to move on to some wrist stretches, which can feel horrendous. I don't know whether it's because I'm a chiropractor or because I do so much floor work, but you've all been there with me with the floor work recently. So you will often find that the forearms and the wrists, hi Roo, have got quite tight. So what we're going to do is get my doggy out of the way. Roo, no, go on in your bed. Go that way. That way. She thinks it's playtime. So you're going to start in this position on all fours. You're going to bring your hands back towards your knees, and then you're going to rock forward. Pushing, keeping your fingers straight and pushing through the heel of the hand, and you should really feel that stretching around the wrist and down the back of the arms. You're going to hold that for 10 seconds. Then you're going to twist the palms the other way so your fingers come towards the knees, and you're going to then rock backwards. And again, you should feel that really stretching through the front part of the arm there. And you're going to hold that for 10 seconds. Then we're going to switch, and you're going to do the rear side of the hands. Pop the backs of the hands. Now be careful with this that you don't load too much weight into the wrist. If you feel that, just bring your knees closer in towards the wrist. Once you've got that, keeping those elbows straight. Actually, I forgot to say, it's really important throughout all of these that you keep those elbows nice and straight. So when you've got the fingers pointing back towards your knees, palms are facing up in this case, you then gently rock back, and this is where you're going to feel it down the outside of the arm, facing the front there. And you're going to hold that for 10 seconds. And then same again, you just swivel the hands around to the front, palms facing up still, straighten those arms, and with this one you're going to rock forward as much as you can. Again, keeping those palms up, but hands absolutely flat to the floor. The fingers are quite active. So you should really feel that working and stretching through those wrists. If you feel that there's a lot of tension, you want to do another stretch, a finger stretch is a really good one. And that's where you do the fingers facing towards the knees, palms down, but as you rock back, you allow the wrists to come up slightly, keeping those elbows locked. And that just takes that stretch right into the fingers and through the palms as well. So we've done the neck, we've done the wrists and forearms. Now we're going to move on to glutes, pigeon. So pigeon pose I find really tricky because my hips are not that flexible. So I'm going to show you the way that we ideally want you to be doing it, and then I'm also going to show you a couple of modifications. Now if you imagine the ideal pigeon pose, your shin sits parallel to the edge of the wall that you're facing. That's just not going to be possible for many of you. What then happens is that foot will come back more and more at an angle so that you can then sorry guys, go on, out you go, good girl. So you can then slide down and relax into this pose, which if we go sideways on, let me see, you can see how the leg extends backwards, the hips stay up, you're not allowing yourself to roll onto that right side. That's where sometimes the block can be useful. That's where sometimes the block can be useful because it just stops you rolling. So if you pop yourself into that pigeon pose, pop the block underneath your tush and then relax onto it, you can often, that will stop you just tipping over to that right hand side. I wish I could show you this slightly easier. Essentially, if I tuck this in, this is the posture. Now, to increase the stretch, I keep my hand on my foot to stop it slipping backwards. You don't have to do that. That's me being quite mean to my body. The key is really just once you're in this posture, no matter how high or low you are from the floor, it's that you then breathe through it. So you're here, you can either stay up and hold your body up, or you can come down. You can even come all the way down to the floor, and you're going to hold that for 15 breaths or 15 seconds. It is a really, really intense stretch, and often, bizarrely, hip tension can make us feel really emotional as we release it. There's lots and lots of, in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, lots of emotions are stored within the hips of the body, and negative emotions are that. So sometimes when we can stretch through them, you will find that you're weirdly feeling a little bit angry or a little bit sad. Consider this a good thing, because that's all that nastiness coming out of the body. So there's a little bit of yogi stuff for you. If that is just too intense for you, particularly if you feel it painful in your knees, instead I want you just to go back to the figure 4 exercise that we've done before, where you thread your hands through the middle, this foot flexes to keep that active, that knee is pushing that way, and your hands come through and are pulling that knee, left knee in towards your chest. Keep those shoulders relaxed. So if you can't do pigeon pose, instead do 15 breaths holding figure 4. Okay, then we're going to come into a wide leg forward fold. So taking your legs nice and wide as you Not as wide as you can, but as wide as you still feel stable and not balanced. And from that position, with a very straight back, you're going to hinge forward. So if I make this sideways, firstly, the toes, they pigeon inwards a little bit. So your heels are slightly further out and your toes are slightly turned in, okay? That just rotates the hips internally, which means you're going to get an even bigger stretch through your adductors. So coming into that pigeon-toed wide leg stance, from this position you then push your bottom straight backwards. And then however low you can get whilst keeping a straight spine, that is where you stay. If you don't have a history of low back problems or disc issues and you want to just relax into the fold, go for it. Then you're more than welcome to. But just if you want to be careful and protective with that spine, just make sure that it stays nice and neutral throughout. The legs are active. You'll want to push your bottom backwards. Don't. Try and bring the weight in towards the front of the heels. If you are nowhere near the floor, do not worry. You can keep your hands on your knees, on your thighs as you stretch forward. The key is that your spine, which you can't really see at the moment on me, stays nice and neutral and doesn't flex too much unless you are really down and really just relaxing into it. If you can reach your big toes, you are welcome to, after a little bit of a warm-up, pull the toes so you can really pull your belly button down towards the floor to straighten through that spine. But how low you get doesn't matter. The key is just that you feel a stretch on the inside thighs and even sometimes down the outside of those shins. Pigeon, three-way wrists. Pigeon, three-way wrists. Wide leg stance. What is the last stretch, friends? Oh, turbo quad. Gosh, I'm trying to improve my memory, so I really hope you forgive me for sometimes not being on the ball with this. I should just write it down, but sometimes I think, no, I can remember 5 exercises. Apparently it's harder than I think. So turbo quad, this is where you may need a strap, but essentially it's going into a low lunge, so pad out under that reverse knee if you have any discomfort with that. Keep that pelvis tucked underneath. That's when you're really going to feel it stretching through that hip flexor at the front. Stabilize with this leg on this knee. Turn to catch, if you can, this leg at the back. Then what I want you to do is return your shoulders to facing forward again. And then if you can, just lean forward, pushing through that hip at the front here, making sure that that pelvis is still tucking under so your low back is long. So instead of this, which we don't want to see, you're really making sure that that buttocks are tucking underneath so your low back stays long. Now if that means you're less in the pose, doesn't matter, that means you're doing it better and safer for your low back. So there will be lots of you who are like, way forward with your heel to your bottom. I hate you all and your bendiness, but please, if you are there, just make sure that you're not doing what I have to do, which is just arching the low back to get there. Really keep that bottom tucking under as you actively bring that foot forward. Now, like me, you may find stabilizing yourself on something like the back of a sofa or even holding onto a broomstick just helps with that. If you can't reach your foot, get a tie or a belt or something, loop it around the foot and then use that to pull the foot up. And you're going to hold that for 15 breaths on either side. That is a really intense stretch, so ease into it. Feel the stretch before you push into the stretch. The key is with the breath, so go into the point where you feel the stretch. Breathe into it a couple of times, make sure your angles and your form are in the right places, and then once you feel that stretch ease off a bit, just go a little bit deeper into it, and then breathe again and go through that cycle again. So there are your lovely Sunday stretches. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to go out in this beautiful sunshine with my doggy now. Bye!